Good evening, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of These Corona Times. You are tuned in with your girl Tiffany and Dr. Simone and your boy Brandon, the Cowardly Lion.
Wow.
Can I clarify, Simone? She, her.
She, her. She is her, and her is she.
That's right.
Simone would not let me use my these or they pronoun for the meeting.
No.
If you got jokes on how I haven't been to the barbershop in a long time, huh?
No, I was just saying your main. I was giving you
Listen, this is we are a year into this. This is how we was looking at the beginning of the pandemic. Okay. This is how Brandon was looking at the beginning of the pandemic. Okay. Right. He couldn't get his hair done. He couldn't do that stuff. So we're hearkening back.
Yes. Hearkening. I don't like that word. I don't know how I feel about hearkening. But anyway, welcome to episode 38 of These Corona Times. We have now surpassed all of our ages. We are getting inching close into 40, which seems really odd that we're still here doing this, but we are. Not our ages, Simone, the episodes.
I know, I didn't like that.
The episodes are inching closer to 40. Okay, jeez. Tonight we're having some of our guests back that we had before, Alex and Alethea Victor, and we are talking about living the married life in these Corona times, part 2. So we have some continuations of the conversation we were having before where we left off, didn't get to cover everything. We just didn't have enough time, and they're such great guests, so we're having them back again. So, before getting into all of that, I just want to say thank you all so much for your continued show of support. We truly appreciate it. We enjoyed last week's episode. It was Brandon's time to shine. He told us all about the Black women's, the nutrition, and the health. And I appreciate
all the love. I got all the Brandon did. Oh, Brandon
did a great job.
Brandon so much. I'm like,
let's just say,
forget Brandon.
Yeah,
both of your moms have a soft spot in my heart.
So if you have not watched that episode, we urge you to go back and look at it because it is Women's History Month. I believe when our episode came out, it was International Women's Day. And then also this is, well, no, we're not in heart health anymore. Are we in Health and Nutrition Awareness Month?
It is Nutrition Month.
Nutrition Month, yeah. So it's a great episode to watch. It's applicable. Go back and look at that. As always, you can find us every Monday at 8 o'clock because why? We've been on time all this year. So you can find us at 8 o'clock on Mondays at Facebook, on our page at These Corona Times, and on our YouTube page at These Corona Times as well. So again, please like, follow. What'd you say, Bram?
At watch party.
Yes, join our watch parties every Monday at 8, which is now. If you're watching, it's right now.
Not now, but tomorrow. Well, yeah, right now.
Future.
Confusing, right? Exactly. So yes, thank you all for watching. We're very happy to be back and to be bringing our guests from episode 35, I believe, right? Bringing them back. So like we always do, I think we kind of go back and forth with the self-care and acknowledgement. So let's do self-care first, I guess. So how did you all take care of yourselves this past week? And Tiffany, we can just skip you because I know what you did.
That's a hater.
Why don't you just go first? Get you out the way because I'm upset.
We went on vacation. Okay, we were away because Joel's birthday was last week, so we went out of town to celebrate his birthday. We were very safe, practicing all the COVID protocols. Stayed at one place, but all went well. And even though we were away, I was still working a little bit remotely. So I already work remotely. This was more remotely, so I was still doing some work while I was away. So don't feel too bad. I didn't really take vacation time off. But yeah, we just got away. We were out of town for several days and really enjoyed the rest. I will say, even though we were on vacation, I went to bed very early. We got up at a decent time. It was very interesting. I actually went to bed before midnight most nights and got up at like 9.
Welcome to the going to bed early club.
It's really not all that's cracked up to be.
No.
I mean, it's not.
Simone, you went to bed early one night and you were up and you probably had the most productive.
I was mad.
Yeah.
I was up at 5. Marco Polo, and I'm so mad. I'm up at 5.
She was angry with herself.
I went to bed before my phone went to bed. Like my phone has the bedtime
app on
thing,
it.
And my phone I went to bed before my phone. So, but anyway, Brandon, what about you?
I have. I was telling them earlier this weekend that I went on and booked my getaway for myself, and I am staying in a hotel for 3 nights,
No one cares.
a couple of weeks.
We should let him go out to the cabin too. We should let him go out there. We should have encouraged him to go out there.
We should not care so much about you. We should let you just go on out there.
I would be out in the cabins, but the money.
I know. Yeah. Those cabins look nice, and I'm sure they are, but they are very, from what I've seen, and price very expensive. And
you know, I can't stay in. You got to have running water.
Oh, he's too bougie. He needs a mini.
I need a chalet or something. You know.
Right.
It's got to be nice. I think for me, I think I've just been continuing to go to bed early at a decent time. Not 9:30. That was entirely too early. Mm-hmm. But for me, before it was too early for me, Brent. I'm sorry, I can't do it. But like 10:30, that's early for me because I'm a 1 a.m., 2 a.m. kind of girl. But my body is changing. Things are changing. And so I have to go to bed a little bit earlier, and I do feel better. So I would say that has been my self-care. And we are, no, Brendan, we are also planning a getaway, but I'm not going to reveal what it is because my husband, it might not happen. It might not happen. But we are looking at a getaway, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. And also looking at coming home in the next couple months to Louisville. So
we're excited about
that will happen.
Yeah. We might actually get an in-person Corona Times episode. Yes. Tried to plan several times now.
Exactly. So yeah. So acknowledgments. We always highlight someone in our community doing wonderful things, and we are going to highlight Alethea Victor's piano lessons again. I think she said last time, if you look back in 35, she talked more about it. But she does offer piano lessons for children, and they are offered remotely. I think she said that she was also going to start having them in person. But if anybody's interested in having being taught by her, she's classically trained. Her husband and their child are crazy talented. So it would be money well spent. And so if you are interested, if anybody's watching that's interested in having, being taught piano or having their children learn, you can always let us know, and we can pass along the message to the Victors, and she can make the contact if she wants to do so.
And one thing that we mentioned last time when we're both on was that Alex and Alethea sing together, but Alex has recorded albums, and we did not drop those in the insert last time. So I'm going to make sure we do that this time to share with you. You can buy both his albums or download them both on Spotify and I believe iTunes as well.
Yep, really good music. I got all the music. I think all of us have all the music.
All the music.
Yeah, definitely. So, Brandon, do you want to orient us?
You did such a great job of not stealing my thunder this week.
How will we try?
What is all the hand movements today? What is all of this?
I'm gesturing to Brandon.
Why am I doing all of these things?
I talk with my hands, so they can't see that because of the camera. I talk with my hands quite a bit. So this is part 2 of our marriage. This is part 2 of our marriage episode, and we are going to get to some things we didn't get to last time. We want to talk about arguing with your spouse, an argument, respect, boundaries, love languages, just a couple of things. Our topic last time, we got so into it that we didn't get a chance to cover as much as we wanted to, and so we wanted to use this time to actually get to that stuff. So the Victors, I said the Alexes.
The Alexes.
That's great. Women's History Month. Talking about the Alexes.
They're just a wealth of information that is really easy to just talk about stuff that's random. But we are going to definitely try to do a better job of staying on track this episode.
All right. Well, with that said, we will be right back with our special guest, the Victors. Welcome back, the Alexes.
That's funny.
I just want to point out these are not even your real names, okay? Geez. Alex and Alethea are not even your real names.
As long as they send that check to the right address, we all right.
As long as it says
Okay.
yeah,
That's correct. That's it.
Nobody knows our names. Just you, Tiffany.
Yes, I keep
Right.
it secret. I'll keep it with me.
Thank you all so much for coming back. We did not get to finish last time because we had so much stuff that we were just talking about. We could have went for another hour, but the hour was late. So thank you all for coming back tonight.
Oh, cool.
Thank you for having us back
We
again.
appreciate it.
It was fun.
Yes, we are so glad.
It was so nice we had to do it twice.
Yeah.
All right. 2 times the charm. Let's do it.
We are so glad you all could make the time. We do really appreciate you all finding room for us amidst your busy schedules.
Let's go ahead and
So we have
dig right on into it. Go ahead, Simone.
No, I was going to say, where do y'all want to start? We have a lot of notes. Where would you all like to start?
You know what I'm gonna say? Start at the top. We don't need to go out of order.
Ask away. I'm ready. I'm ready.
Well, it seems that the first part of the notes we're talking about, it seems like arguing and boundaries and things along those lines. And we all know that marriages are supposed to be perfect. You're not supposed to be arguing with anybody. But if you are in one of those rare situations when you have to argue with your spouse, how should you do it?
Is this opposite day?
Right.
Oh man. Okay. You want to go first? You go first.
You go ahead, baby.
Well, I have learned over time
Oh gosh. This is good.
not to go into to fight fairly. Before, by my ignorant nature, you get upset and you can sometimes you try to point out things in a person, or you try to call them out, and that just escalates them even more. So I've learned, and so the forever learning process. I want to say that. I want to be real with y'all. When you think you got it right, it changes. Then you got to adjust a little bit more and get it together. But I've learned to try to fight fairly and choose my battles and not discuss what's bothering me, or if there's an argument. I gotta wait till I calm down first, or the other person, because we'll get nowhere.
Yeah.
We'll just escalate, and it never gets. And don't be hungry. Don't be hungry when we're having a conversation.
Like
Hangry.
don't shop hungry. Don't argue hungry.
No.
Gotta keep that blood sugar stabilized, huh?
You got it.
Yeah.
You got it.
Make sure your mind is right.
So you don't say nothing you don't want to say.
You got it. Snickers moment. Gotta eat that Snickers.
Later.
We're going to come back to that a little bit later.
I'm so glad that you said that, Alex, about like taking some time away, because there's a very old adage about not going to bed angry, and trying to settle your arguments with your spouse before you all lay down. But how many times have you actually gone to bed angry over the years?
Oh, that's happened for sure.
I don't have enough fingers.
I ain't got enough.
For real.
I don't have enough fingers and toes.
It's best if it could be handled, that evening, that day, not going to bed angry and hangry. No. But it's best to be handled, because then it's not lingering on, and then it's easier to just move on and not address and talk about it, because after you've kind of settled down, you're less angry and bickering, yelling, arguing, and then so you're settled down, and now everything might feel and seem okay, but the issue hasn't been addressed. And so it's still lingering there, maybe in your mind or within, it's still lingering. And so it still hasn't been addressed. So it's best to be able to handle it, before you go to sleep. And also, life is not promised. We may not wake up.
Yeah.
So that's another big thing too, is you want to be able to go to sleep in peace, knowing that you're at least able to somewhat get to a point where you guys are okay with each other. And if you have to talk more further in detail, then maybe do that on the other day, but at least get some kind of an understanding where you both are on some kind of page at peace with one another somewhat. And if you need to address it further on another day, because, problems are not solved overnight. they take time, but you just don't want to go to bed angry. It's not healthy.
And I would say to that, each spouse is different, because keep it real, because one of us at times, we can't sleep until we deal with a situation. And the other spouse is like, I'm going to bed, I don't care. And that makes you even more mad because you haven't talked about it. You got it. Hey, so keep it real. So recognize your spouse levels, because if your spouse is angry and you got to be that humble person and just chill and just be that listen person until that de-escalates so you can talk about it. If not, sometimes wait. You have to go to bed late at night, pray, and be like, well, Lord, help me, help my spouse, and just go to bed until they get over it.
It's me.
I'm sorry, I've cut you off twice already.
Oh, I didn't see the first time. I didn't even see that, but thank you.
2021.
I was just gonna say that I think that we have to be realistic, right? Like, especially if you have, it doesn't, if you have kids, even if you don't, like if your life is just busy, right? Yeah. You may not have time to get everything out. And so I think it's okay to come to a point where you can say, you know what, we're not agreeing, we're not settled on this. We still have to talk about it. I'm still not okay, but let's just stop here. You know what I mean? Because I think that, and I'm going to say this, I don't know how y'all feel about it, but especially in like religious circles, we put very hard lines on people about what should and shouldn't be done in a marriage. And that just doesn't work for everybody. Every marriage is different, and like for me, I know that my husband doesn't like to argue. He doesn't like that. He's very calm. He's very chill. He doesn't like to argue. I'm different. I like a good spicy argument. Like that's just my personality.
All the smoke all the time.
All the smoke. I'm ready for the smoke. I'm here for the smoke. And
I feel you, Simone.
I'm just like, we have to be, and so I have to like calm myself down, and he has to ramp himself up a little bit so we can have a discussion. But sometimes like it's like we don't have time for that. And I just want us to be realistic and not villainize people for getting angry. It's not about the anger, it's about what you do with it. How you treat the other person when you're angry. It's okay to be angry.
Does Sean ever ramp up to the argument? Because Joel never did.
Not really. Not really.
It's hard to fight because you won't match the energy.
Right. Which is fine because I need that. I know I need that. You know what I mean? We're not violent people. We don't throw things. It's not like that. But I can keep going, And so the fact that he isn't like that, it helps me to just pipe down. So
that's me.
Because if you argue with yourself, you're gonna argue with yourself. That's it.
He's like, okay. I'm like, what do you mean? Okay, I'm ready.
Yep, that's me. That's me. I'm the same exact way. And Lord help, you kept the key component of what you just said was on point, but you got to come back, you got to address it, because sometimes we'll deal with that later. And I'm like, okay, let's deal with it. I'm ready now. I'm ready to talk about it.
And so, from the last time that we met, and we don't argue a lot. We really don't. We've come a long way. We used to argue a lot. We used to. We don't argue a lot. And, looking back, I'm like, did we even argue this year? We might bicker a couple of, little here and there, but
we're like, it ain't worth it.
Well, since we last met, we have had an argument, but
about that stimulus. Was you arguing about
Alex wanted that 90-inch TV, huh?
And Madison said, it's my stimulus.
It's real talk. Hey, it's real talk.
We're going to press pause right here. Can we come back? So, oh gosh. So, it's just so important to really, we talk about when you address a issue with your spouse or partner, to address it from the point of where you're feeling, really stick to your feelings, because it's so, for me at least, but I know this is in general, even for other people, if you're like, well, you are like this, or you did this, or then people get defensive easily, which I get defensive easily, will get defended, and will not hear the feelings and emotions that's in there, everything else, even though that's the root of the issue. All I'm hearing is what I did wrong,
Right.
So it's so important to bring your emotions and your feelings, I think, to the forefront, doing your best. And sometimes that's hard to do that if you don't really know how to do that effectively, to really say what is hurting you, what is it like. I feel I'm hurt. I feel whatever that I feel lonely.
Yeah,
I
your
feel
I
hurt. I feel
messages.
left out. I think that's so important because all the other messages of, well, you did this, but really what you're saying is I feel. It goes over the person's head. Well, at least for me, anyways. And I'm sure other people feel that way too.
Personalize the argument a little bit.
Yes. Yeah. I like that. Personalizing it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You got to know when to back down too, man. You just got to know.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to pay attention. I'm very adamant. I talk things through. I tell people how I feel. I can express myself clearly, but it may be the bad timing to say, you know what, that's maybe too much right now. Maybe we're not ready for that, just to pull it back. And so I have to learn how to pull back sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that because we, between last time and when we were together before, we were talking about watching this movie, Malcolm and Marie. And I know Simone and I watched it. Y'all barely made it through, and Brandon didn't even bother. He's gonna read Cliff Notes. But one of the things that was in there was they just argued the whole movie, pretty much argued.
Yeah.
But the thing that I think stuck out to me and Simone was like they just kept punching. Like, you were just talking about pulling back and knowing when to stop and say, okay, that's enough. Maybe we'll talk about this later. It was like every time one would hurt the other with the words, the other would come back and hurt deeper with the words.
Yeah.
That went on for 45 minutes or so.
How long was the movie? The whole thing? It's really the bathroom scene. I don't know if y'all got that far, but there was a point where she was I don't know how she got in the tub, but she was in the tub taking a bath, and he was standing in front of her, like not in the tub, just, talking to her in the tub. And so he was, cutting her deep with all of this stuff, her past and all this other stuff. And it was really symbolic too, to think about the fact that she's in the tub naked. So she's vulnerable, right? Like she was already a vulnerable person. She was younger. She had a kind of a tough past, but now like in that moment, she was in the tub, she defenseless, and he had all the power. Mm-hmm. And it made me think about how we were talking about when you're fighting with somebody, don't hit them at their weak point.
Yeah.
Like that's not how you do that. That's taking it to a whole, that's abusive. It becomes abusive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. We can be abusive if we don't learn tactical ways to communicate. And everyone could, because we grow up with different values and different morals and family structures. But sometimes in that movie, I didn't get to watch all of it. They like normalized their form of communication, and I thought all of it was abusive, but
all of it.
That's the way some people talk, and they talk in that abusive nature, and it becomes their standard. And I can only imagine where the escalation point goes from there, because I think a lot of people just need to do a lot of self-introspection, look at themselves, and forget your partner for a second, because they're gonna be themselves no matter what. Be the best you can be, and learn how to communicate effectively. Yeah, that's real.
Yeah, I agree.
I want to ask you guys a question. Do you think that because I know you can have an effective argument. I don't even know if that's the right way of saying it, right? An effective argument.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there's, people, and I would say human beings as human beings, we hit a certain point where if we step out of that, if it's no longer effective, we step out of that realm, and it becomes a very emotional thing where now our emotions are running through our bodies, and now we're not thinking rationally anymore in words, and everything's just coming out, and you're almost like blacking out in your mind. You're just defending and protecting yourself, like fight or flight.
Fight or flight.
Fight or flight. Once you say that happens to people too in arguments, because I'm thinking so.
So.
Absolutely.
Because I've noticed that even when I've worked with teens, with children, and then even arguments within families too. Yeah. Spouses and couples, one another. That's dangerous too.
I think it's a really good point, because just without going like too deep into psychology stuff, like when people, families work in systems, right? So if you watch your people argue like that, and people get all dysregulated, and so they're like their frontal lobe is turned off basically, and they're just
Yeah.
they're just going. Then they go and they do that in their romantic relationships, and they're not thinking, they're just talking and reacting, and they can't regulate themselves. And so I think that's when you need to talk to somebody or go see a therapist to help you recognize when you are going there so you can regulate. I think you can be taught that, but I mean, how often are people saying, I'm dysregulated, I need to go to I need to go see a therapist. I wish that would happen more.
Yes.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I also wonder how often do people say in their relationships, like, we can't talk to each other this way. I want to reference a Red Table Talk from long ago when Will and Jada were on there talking about communicating with each other. And he said, like, early in our marriage, I just told her one thing I won't stand for in communication is you cussing at me. Don't cuss at me.
I remember that.
We're not going to cuss at each other. We're not going to do that. And I just wonder how many people take the time to go like, okay, these are communication boundaries. Don't call me out my name.
Yeah, boundaries.
Don't throw my mama into the argument. Let's not, that. Who really knows to do that until you, to me, it's not until you cross the line, then you start to be like, okay, maybe not go that far in the future.
Yeah. I wish we had more of those basic skills, depending on how you grew up, to be effective communicators. It becomes a struggle. It's like speaking another language, and it becomes a struggle until I think you mentioned a little bit about you finding a mediator, a counselor, or a therapist or something to learn how to use effective skills. It's not natural. It's not natural to me to say, how do you feel?
Right.
That made you feel. That's
not
not natural at all.
way.
And it feels ignorant, feels stupid to me. But I had to learn how to practice that because my normal language in my family, because we're passionate, we talk, it can come across abusive to my wife. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm not a wife. That's how we do,
That's what we've been doing.
Yeah.
Been doing it.
So I had to challenge myself to speak another language, and learn how to process that, not for my own sake, before I won't hurt just for my own sake, I won't hurt my spouse in that same aspect.
And this is the stuff that we're doing in front of our young people, our children, our nieces and nephews. It's so important to regulate. And there was something that I was reading about, like parenting or just being around young folks in the pandemic. Is it okay to argue in front of your children or whatever?
Oh, Lord.
And I thought, like, Caden's here all the time. He done heard an argument or two.
Right.
He's heard them. And it talked about it's not arguing that's bad, but how you do it.
Yeah.
And that they need to see that there's a calm that happens after that. And that's not out of control. It doesn't make him feel unsafe. So I don't know how I feel about it. It's definitely the standard that we have is that we don't argue in front of our child. But with the pandemic being here, he's hurt because he's here. We all here together. So he's heard some things. And we'll have to apologize to him later.
But children need to learn.
Yeah. We've talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely have talked about that. And we've agreed that we would not argue in front of her. But of course, over the years, it has happened. But we want her to see the argument resolved in a positive way. She needs to, like you said, needs to see that because she's going to be in an argument one day. And I want her to know how to be able to have that kind of, a good communication, disagreement with someone, be able to, whether it's at school or in a community or in a relationship later on in life, she needs to know how to do that effectively. That's important.
Because, sometimes kids are like, I'm done, I'm never talking to you again. Couples are like that too.
Yeah,
they get upset or mad.
Where they get it from.
Yeah.
Right.
And we agreed, like certain conversations, disagreements, arguments, we'll have in front of our daughter, but we'll tell her if it gets, no, this is serious. Oh, you need to go. Go to your room, go watch some TV or something. We'll talk to you about something. Yeah. And we'll just have that conversation.
And kids they'll exhibit it.
Oh, they're smart.
You'll hear it come back at you. You'll
they'll
be
throw
like,
it in your face. Do you remember when you such and such and such?
I know.
And they'll force them to choose. Don't say that to daddy. Don't say that to mommy. Oh, yeah.
And again,
we had to get that too. Go ahead, Tiff.
I was going to say, I think that's realistic, as you talked about before. And also when we talked about last time about expectations of marriage, I think when children don't see their parents argue and fight, they grow up thinking that couples don't fight and everything is a story. And I think showing children conflict resolution is very helpful too. Just giving them the expectation that, hey, you are going to argue, but you can work it out and go forward.
Definitely.
You know, we have a cult. I work with young people. I work with college students, and there is a cancel culture going on. Like I do group, right? And so a lot of the themes are like when I'm upset with somebody, whether it be a partner or a friend, I just cut them off. No resolution, no nothing. And the thought that there's a different way to do that is like a completely foreign topic to them. They don't understand. They're like, what do you mean? Like, why would I talk to them? Well, y'all were friends for 10 years. Yeah, but that's over now. Really? It's over? Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
It's different. And it really it makes me think like, what did they observe growing up?
I kind of see it like like this technological computer generation age where all you have to do is you don't have to deal with no one personally or you can just say write a text, or you can just erase it or move on. Make a new friend or something, friend request, and that I think their social skills are starting to develop that way. This was difficult for me because I'm a very social person. I love face-to-face interaction. I had a problem with this pandemic communicating with people through text and all that. Now it was hard for me at one point, so I could see how kids, they're just used to, or this new generation, they're so used to it, and whatever, cut you off, you're not my friend anymore, no more friend requests,
I think unfriending people on social media is like the strongest thing you can do. Like I always hear that like on pop culture news, like, oh, this account unfollowed that account, they're not friends anymore. I'm like, I guess that's the biggest blow you can get
now.
And it hurts.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, how did you know that? How do you do you go checking?
They probably do.
Do they go checking?
Gotta keep up with the count.
Or maybe they got a notification.
Yeah.
Different generation right there.
Yep.
I don't know. That's a very interesting thought process, though. As far as like cutting and leaving people, I think that also goes to like I said, develop social skills. But I wonder how that translates into later, because once you get into marriage, it's something that is quite different because you can't really do that. I don't know divorce law like that, so I can't just tell my wife, "Yo, we're done right now. I'm leaving." Like, or can you?
People do it. I don't know how they do it.
If you're married, you've got, a whole process you have to go through. But if you're not, where there's a lot of people that are, not officially married through the state, it's easier to leave, there's nothing really, there's no paperwork or anything like that. That's just tied you to that.
Exactly right. What I noticed before to even get to the paperwork, they've already shut down. Before you even think about it, they've already mentally and emotionally shut down. This is over. And most of them are thinking of an escape plan of some sort, or how can I get out and win at the same time, or backup plan. But I don't know, man. It's hurtful, sadful, because communication, you say some things, you're in a bad place of pain and you never really deal with that. And sometimes instead of going back and healing or working on that and working through it, some people are just so afraid to deal with that. They just move forward, or they're in an abusive relationship and they just get out for safety as much as possible.
I'm still kind of old school when it comes to communication, though. I think even though we live in a society where technology and social media is, at the top, as a couple, you have to be able to come together face to face.
Definitely.
And talk. There's the body language you need to read. There's the physical touch. There's the eye contact, and you're not going to get that in the messages.
No.
I mean, you send a quick message, but you need to have a follow-up from, with that, because, writing, if we really were to take it back, I mean, people back in the age would write letters to one another. It's still a beautiful thing, write a letter to your spouse, document the letter. Write a letter, send a message, but there's just nothing like face-to-face when it comes to addressing an issue. And so with the generation now where everything is, and I would say it's my generation and younger, even though I know I'm older, but my generation, we started out with the whole technology, and younger, but I'm concerned, though a lot of the emotions are all through the texting and the social media and the frustrations being vented out to everyone else and not directly to their spouse or their partner. So I think it's so important to be able to follow up that face-to-face communication. I think that it takes, hands down, is still the winner in my books.
And there's a loss of intimacy. You know, not seeing that body language. So I see my spouse, I'm like, wow, baby, you look fine, you look good. And we're sending body, it's right, stimulus.
Stimulation.
And we're sending some eye contact, body language, you know, we're flirting with one another. I can't get that same exact thing through that text or through that email.
And how do you explain texting? Like when you send a message, like it's interpreted to the person that receives it. And you don't have that immediate chance of explaining what it is that you just said. You know, that's lost. That's why I think that face-to-face
it's a new
really
challenge. And for some couples, they can work and do that. But that's how, you know, that when people get trapped in that whole stay at home, they never had those skills. They were never fully developed. And so now they're forced to deal with it, and they're forced to develop it, and they're clinging and they're clashing because that escape or that little wall they had to get away or not to deal with certain issues starts to arise.
For sure.
Y'all are getting at one of the points in our notes. This is fun because y'all haven't seen them, so y'all don't know what we're talking about. But leaning over in the notes, but talking about having a firm foundation, like how important that is going in. And that's what I was thinking about. Is like some people in this society we're in now with all the apps to swipe and the Tinder and the Bumble and all that stuff. And then you got like shows like Married at First Sight or 90 Day Fiance and
90 Day Fiance,
all these things where the love is instant. Like you don't have that time to really develop that firm foundation in these instant connections that you're having with folks. And then I was thinking about they talk about how the divorce rate has gone up since the pandemic. And I just wonder how many of those people came into their relationship not having a firm foundation, whether that be a long courtship or solid friendship beforehand, or just coming together on equal goals beforehand. And then things have just kind of crumbled during COVID because they don't have those things to link back to when they do get mad at each other. Because we all get mad at each other. We've all had quarrels inside the house.
Yes, COVID quarrels.
Yeah. So what do you stand on when things are a little rocky? What's that firm place you go back to when things are getting shaky?
Well, we have our friendship from the beginning, and that's for our relationship, our friendship. We were able to court one another, but the thing is that we did not just jump into a relationship. We were friends first, and so we have that friendship that we fall back on. Also, we have God as our foundation. That is our foundation first, is God, then our friendship and each other, because that's the only thing we have to fall back on. And so when we both lose our mind and it's an argument and we're both speaking nonsense, not making sense, nothing's getting through, you can just say, well, we just need to stop and pray. We just need to stop right here, because this is not going anywhere. And we need to take this to the Lord. Let's pray. You pray. If you pray by yourself, I pray by myself, or we pray together. We just need to take this to the Lord and pray about it, because, he's the only one that's going to give us clarity in our minds. And that's what has helped us. And that's what we fall back on. So our friendship and taking it to God is the only thing that has helped us through our most difficult times.
And if I may add, I recognize that, every relationship is different. And I know people have different spiritual beliefs, religious beliefs, but truly, definitely, you have to go back to that foundation, that rock. And I believe it is Christ. And people, whatever they may think, however a relationship may be. But I'm telling you, if you have been married, short or long, you're going to get to a dark place in your marriage. Everyone will hit this dark place. And that dark place will challenge you spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. And if you don't have a rock, which I believe that foundation is Christ, because he's consistent, he doesn't change, and he lays out examples and foundations that will help you give guidelines to follow, you're going to shake. You're going to fall. And you will get to that place, because I've gotten to that place where you go into that closet and you cry aloud and you pray and you really start looking at yourself, looking at your marriage, and you say, why did I get married? Or Lord, what do I need to do? You will get there. But if you don't have a foundation, you're going to go leave, or you can go speak to some person that's not really has a strong foundation. They're going to tell you to do something else that you shouldn't do. Or you're going to go seek someone else to try to fulfill those empty things that are in a relationship, and it's going to lead to an infidelity.
Yeah.
I can definitely.
No,
I'm sorry,
ahead.
Alethea, go ahead.
I could piggyback off of that.
I was just saying, I totally hear exactly what you're saying. And I think for us, when we've had our dark periods, and we've only been married for, gosh, what is it? I think it'll be 9 years this year. But we have had a lot of transition, as you all know, during our marriage. And I think that is it, the foundation, having God as our foundation, because at the end of the day, we want to do what's right, by him. And so even when my mind has been in the wrong place, I think both of us always come back into like, okay, wait a minute, we agree, like this is what we're doing. We committed to being in this relationship together. So we have to turn back toward each other and figure out how to make this work. And we always talked about being best friends, even though our courtship was pretty quick. I think, I don't remember. I think it was
90
pretty
days.
quick.
It was instant.
Was it 90 days?
It was not. No. It was not 90 days.
You're not the one. Next.
Listen, I'm gonna be transparent. Alex and Alethea know about my dating history. Okay, I called them, and one day Alex was like, "Listen, you just gotta be serious." I was like, "Oh, okay." This is way back in the day, but I think, it has been very helpful for us to be able to have that even when we're arguing, we end up laughing. Like Pastor Luckett even said that during our wedding. He said these two are always laughing, and so we haven't lost that. We haven't lost that spirit, and so I feel like that's what like kind of keeps us, I don't know, grounded. But it's tough, and I think like for a lot of people, COVID has been their dark period, because like you said, whatever strategies they used to avoid, those were gone because we had to be stuck in. So I just wanted to share that.
Well, y'all, you'll hear the t-shirts coming. I'll say it again. Marriage is not for punks. That's the real deal.
It's not.
It's not. It's one of the hardest things I've ever had to face, because it challenged my character.
And it's always challenging. It just continues. When you got it together, then boom, something happens. It just throws you off your guard. And you're like, oh my gosh, I thought we had this together.
Yeah.
That's true.
Definitely having that firm foundation is helpful. That friendship is so very, very helpful.
It is.
Because we know each other. Y'all know I had a long courtship with my husband.
Yes.
You got him.
And we've been friends the whole time, though. Like even in our breakups, we were friends first the whole time. And even though I had this plan in my head about I want to be married by 28, I want to have this by 30, I want to do this by 32. And then when that didn't pan out, when we actually did get married, and I was like, Lord, there's a reason you didn't let me get married, then we would have been divorced, because there were some things that I weren't ready to endure. Norms I wasn't ready to go through, or some maturity that I had to develop more so that I could be more submissive, or I could be a better partner in my marriage. But like Simone said, when we were talking about arguing earlier, I'm the arguer. It's me. I'm arguing. Joelle's just looking at me and waiting for me. But I hate it because I'm up here on 10 and Joelle will just hug me and we'll start laughing and the argument's over with. that has been so helpful, because it's like, okay, I have this safe place, and even after I said all this stuff, he's not running out the door. He's like, no, good. I heard what you said. Now, okay, what are we having for dinner? And that's the end of the discussion.
That's right. Hey, he's learned from wisdom somewhere.
That is wise.
That is wise. He got some wisdom somewhere from that. That is
y'all gonna be married.
Early lesson.
Couples like, we've been married for 60 years.
What's the secret? I'm so sorry. You're right.
Now we don't know that the husband's right stuff. We fight about that all the time, because I say the wife is always right, and he'll say, but the husband is never wrong.
Oh, my brother.
Brandon, what did you say?
I was going to ask, I was going to start asking how important love languages are.
I hate those daggone love languages.
They're real. I love that. I love Gary Chapman.
Simone, tell us how you really feel.
It's confusing. I don't like it. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Why don't you like them?
Simone does not care about our
I
love.
say that. I didn't like Love Month. Okay, I didn't like
I
it.
know.
I think because me and Sean's love languages are so different, like they
Man.
are complete opposites.
So different.
And it's like you have to, and this isn't just in romantic relationships, it's also in, I think, our platonic, like whatever. You have to show people love in the way that they can receive it, not in the way you want it. So I want physical touch, and I want quality time. Like I want Sean to be up right next to me watching a movie, and I want him to be tuned in, and like I want to look eye to eye, and he's like, I don't want to do that. I just want you to like fold the clothes. That makes me feel so loved when you fold the clothes and tell me I'm awesome. Because I think his is like words of affirmation and like acts of service. And I'm like, I don't do that. I don't do that stuff.
Is that you too, Alex?
I talk trash.
Nah, I'm gifts. I believe it or not, I love it when the UPS person comes to the door.
It's
I'm
like,
UPS. And I'm physical touch, so I'm a very huggy, lovey person.
And I'm definitely quality time. And I would want him right next by me. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? You know.
And act service, because I always tell people this, man. If you want romantic, clean the kitchen. Clean the kitchen. That's what I want. Clean the kitchen.
Yeah, that's Sean. I don't care about that. Leave the kitchen dirty. We'll get to it. We'll get to it later.
Yeah.
Brandon's gonna
so that's my issue with the love languages, is that ours are all over the place, and I have to like, okay, wait, what am I doing here?
It's selflessness.
Yeah.
You know, that's why. So that's what.
And I don't like it.
That's the whole
thing. I feel you. No, honestly, I feel you, because it takes me out, puts me in my uncomfort zone, because that's not my way of communicating. And so if I want to get to point A, I have to do so. I feel like I have to go there in order to get to there. So I have to sit there and watch that movie that I don't like, and you're gonna talk through the movie and you're gonna tell it, and I don't want to feel like talking. I just want to watch the movie, you know.
And his love language is expensive.
No,
that means I'm buying technology for UPS to come deliver.
I know. Alex and his electronics. I know.
Yeah.
I know.
I'm like, this love language is expensive.
Now, y'all have been together a long time. Do you think your love language has changed from the time like you started dating up until like now?
You know what? I would say it's changing. It is evolving. I don't know if it's. I gotta take that test over again because when children get involved, and then you start changing, you know, you don't have a life anymore. And you start focusing on
life's
them.
Over.
Yeah, life's over. And things start to change a little bit. But you know, yeah, I would say they are. It's when you trying to figure it out what it is, that becomes challenging. It's changing, but you're like, I don't like that anymore. No, I don't care for that. Who cares about saying, let's just leave, let's just watch TV, something. You know, it changes, but I don't know what it is yet. I'll be honest with you.
I don't think that mine has changed that much. Do you think mine has changed? I really don't think so. Like I've always just wanted to spend quality time with you.
It's still quality time.
It's still definitely, that's just still the strongest one. Yeah. And like if he's really busy doing something or out running errands or out doing things for other people or with other people, I'm like, when are you coming home? I want to spend time with you. It's just that energizes me. I just love being around him. And he's just like, y'all just always want me. Daddy, where are you? Daddy, where you go? Daddy, where you go? Daddy, you know. We just always want him there, you know.
You see that top quality time? I just want some time.
That's me too. I want.
Yes, but I also need my own personal quality time to rejuvenate myself. Like, so I do that through other things. Like now it's been like gardening or exercising so that I can get myself together, you know, mentally. I don't know if that has anything to do with love languages, but I guess, I don't know. But anyways, quality time for, you know, with him. And then I love quality time on my own as well when I need it.
And then quality time or physical touch might be different for different people.
Yeah.
And for me, well, Physical touch might be something totally different. My wife was, I just want to sit next to you and just hold hands. I don't want to hold your hand. I want to go straight to the park, to the room. You know what I'm saying? I want to go straight to the bedroom. You know, let's keep it real.
Yes.
And, but I realized in order to get to C, I have to deal with B.
Yes.
And so
gotta hold my hand
yeah,
first.
you know, I before the beginning of the relationship, I was like, hey, straight to C. Come on, let's go. What's wrong? C.
Nope.
And now I realize, like, oh boy.
And that creates conflict, right?
It's real.
It's like
It's real.
you gotta like warm it up a little bit.
Yes,
I gotta get mentally there.
Keep
I'm
it
not
real.
there.
You gotta set the preheat function on the oven.
Yes. I'm not right at broil. I'm not right. I'm
You're
not
not
there.
burning? Simone, you're not burning.
I'm not burning. I'm not burning yet.
Burning for your husband. Yeah.
And you know what? Dr. Gary Chapman talks about that in the 5 Love Languages book.
Yeah, yes.
You know, you can't just turn it on just like that. You know, depending on the love language, you have to work your way up through maybe your words or through simple little touch or simple things like that. You have to build that. You can't just jump right into it for some people.
And then having kids, man, it's a more even challenging because my daughter, and whatever affirmation or love I showed my wife, my daughter learns from that. She wants the same thing. I'm just learning. If I bring my wife home a flower or something, hey, babe, I love you. My daughter's like, where's my flower? Where's my flower? And I'm like, oh, my Lord. So
Brandon,
love it though. I love it though, because she's gonna expect that from her spouse. She's gonna know how to be treated. She knows what good treatment looks like.
Yeah.
And I'm learning that. So that's a love language I have to learn how to just balance out. And sometimes I'm trying to get to C, but you're stopping me.
You can't get to C.
The child is stopping you from C.
Blocking me.
Now, Caden did ask to marry me. He did ask. And he was like, I was like, no, because I'm married to your dad. And I'm your mom. He's like, I don't understand.
I don't understand.
You're perfect. That's what I want, mommy.
Oh my goodness. He's gonna look for someone just like you. Then hopefully,
that's good.
Sweet as you when he's older.
Pray for him.
What's the biggest lessons y'all have learned in y'all's marriages?
I would say finances was one of the big ones. That was a big one.
Yeah.
We had a totally different approach coming into the marriage. I'm the spender, and she was more the saver. And I at one point, it was so bad. I used to hide things. I would buy things to hide them in the car because I didn't want her to know about it. You know, secret accounts, secret credit cards. No, don't ever do that. Let me say,
I didn't know that.
Looking straight to the camera.
Yes.
Don't do it. Okay? I'm gonna tell you, save you the headache. Don't do it. Because I felt I didn't understand that balance, and I felt like, you know, it was not my money. I could do whatever I want. It's our money, and so me buying my electronics and things that I like to buy, you felt a sense of restraint. You feel like you're restraining me. But we had to sit down, and one of the universal tools that we love is Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace that helped us to come to a balance, to an understanding. And we agreed upon that, not at first, but we eventually agreed upon it. And we could see the success from that. That was a really strong lesson. And it was because it brought up things in my past. I grew up very poor. It was very rough in my family. So my value of money wasn't as intensive as my wife's, and I saw it differently. I was like, I'm getting older. You know, now I got a job. I can buy what I want. I always wanted that pair of Jordans. I'm going to get it. Which I still never had, but I'm saying, my value system changed, and through compromise, through humbling myself and educating myself more, our financial and marriage is more successsual because of that. That was a very tough lesson for me.
You brought up such a good question. I had to make some notes. That's what I was looking down.
Right now.
I was like, I
remember.
So since we start off on finances, it's, you know, what I learned, because I was what Dave Ramsey say, I was the the person that was really
No, she was the nerd. She
the
was
nerd. That's
She was
it.
the nerd.
I was the nerd, and so I was just very rigid with that. So I had to really learn, and it's really helped through our marriage, is just really learning how to finally just step back and chill out a little bit with that, and lay back, so that there's a balance, you know, in that. Because, you know, when you think about divorce, finances is a big, huge thing. You know, that's one of the reasons why people do get divorced.
One of the number one reasons.
One of the number ones. And so even though we were striving together for a very purposeful goal, that for good outcomes, there was still a lot of conflict in the midst of that. And so being able to just kind of not let go completely, but just to step back, and just so that there's a balance, there's like that kind of give and take. So our finances do this, instead of just pushing all one way, or on it, we go back and forth like this. And when one person is kind of out of whack, the other one kind of helps to rebalance. And so a lot of communication happens around that. So I've grown a lot with that. And also not to sweat the small things, being able to just not argue about things. It's just not worth it. It is not worth it sometimes to argue about some of the things that we've argued about. Just let it go, move on. Is it even worth argument? Like, think about it first before you even start wanting to argue about it. Is it even worth it? Like, is it about me, or is it really about that? Is it really something that needs to be addressed? So just being really cautious of how I, you know, bring up things and talk about things, so that we're not arguing over petty things. That's just going to have an effect on our relationship in a negative way. And then also, I've really learned to not run. I was literally a runner from things. We're not gonna go deep into that, but no, seriously, I'm gonna be transparent. But you know, I had a tough upbringing with. I think I had a lot of childhood ACEs that I was dealing with, just with being raised in a single parent home. My mom worked very hard to raise her children, but there was also a lack in fatherhood. So there was a lot of things that I did not get to see in a healthy marital relationship with dealing with issues. So there was things that I learned, different ways of coping with problems in my own kind of way. So I would shut things down, wouldn't address it, and would just run from it and just leave it. And so through the marriage, I have grown to be able to face issues, to address it, to talk about it, even in my deepest ways of however I was feeling. If I was angry, frustrated, and just wanted to just like, you know, forget, I'm not talking about it. I could easily do that, but I've had to learn how to face it. And that has changed my life tremendously, just being married to him.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, Alethea, because another part of that question was, what has your marriage taught you about yourself? And I think you answered that. But I'd like to know what Alex thinks. What has your marriage taught you about yourself?
My marriage has taught me that I don't know anything. Let me elaborate on that. Elaborate on that. When you go in with certain expectations and you go in thinking how things are going to be, you have to totally, to everybody out there, you have to go in there with a clean slate. This is like 3 pinpoints. It will affect your sexual life. It will affect your financial life. It will affect your communicative life. You can't go into a marriage relationship with false expectations, or you can't go in thinking because I've dated certain people, I've been married before, or so for certain people that they say I'm sexually active, I'm an expert. Your partner is unique. Some people talk like that. They say it. Yeah.
Been doing this. I've been doing this.
I'm a pro.
Yeah. So your partner is unique and special, and you have to recognize that in every single way. Don't bring anything from your past into your present relationship. You have to, everything is fresh. You don't know anything. Learn it together, grow, everything. Just leave it all behind and start with a fresh mindset.
I love that. I will say, we were talking about finances. I will say that for us, the finances part is what taught us. I don't know if it taught us how to be a team, or if it showed how much of a team we are. I'm not sure which one that goes to, but because we have had highs and lows, because I've been a student for 5 years, and so it took us through a lot. And so we've gone from we've been what I want to say, we've been in a time of plenty, and we've been in a time of drought. And how you operate in the drought time, like how we operated through that, it just showed. I was like, wow, I feel like we can do anything.
That's good. It's really good.
We showed up for each other. So that for us, I think that was a huge lesson I learned about myself and about just both of us as a couple.
That's good.
Yeah, I agree. I think finance taught us how to balance. As Simone said, years of plenty, years of famine. And this year, even though it's been a lot of without because of my husband's profession, we've still been doing fine during this time. And that's a total blessing that we haven't hurt for anything, haven't needed anything. And it's taught us more about our finances. We've actually probably saved more during this time than we had previously. So it's really taught us how to bunker down. And I am the nerd, even though I'm also the one that buys the Jordans, Alex.
You got a collection. You're a family of Jordans.
We are. We are a family of Jordans. But that's been something that this time hasn't broken us. And I think I was really conscious of that, coming from marital counseling, coming from other examples that I've had of people's relationships. I'm always conscious about the money. And sometimes Joel's like, you're thinking too much about the money. I'm like, yes, but I don't want to argue about the money. So I want to make sure that I'm thinking about it beforehand so that we're not arguing about it later. But I've learned to, as Alethea was saying, you got to have that balance and back off a little bit and let the other person kind of get you back in check when that happens. So, you know, I don't want the finances to break us. I don't want that to happen.
It's not worth it. Yeah.
I admire you guys what you're saying, because I recognize that when as couples, what makes you stronger is that you can go through fire or joyous times, and when you can work through that, when you can accomplish small little goals in marriage, it makes things so much stronger. Like when I look back at our marriage, I could not see, if we didn't have small goals like we accomplished, I could not see us here right where we are right now. Both marital wise and financial wise and education wise. It's just total. There's nothing you can't do if two come together and they're on one accord.
Oh, it's powerful.
Nothing you can't do.
Nothing's unstoppable. Nothing will
stop battling each other. We're not each other's enemy. You humble yourself. You learn how to serve to one another.
Powerful.
Anything's a limit. And it takes a long time. Some couples take a while to get it, and some get it right off the bat.
Two people that are on the same page are unstoppable.
It's unstoppable.
Like, very true.
Unstoppable.
Yes.
No joke.
Yep.
So true. So I think this is our last topic, which I feel away, but it's okay.
We like to end on spicy.
Yes, let's end with spice. I think Alex brought this. Well, somebody brought this up about changing your last name.
Yeah.
About the official change of last name. Oh, Brandon, you're here. Oh.
Wait.
You're right. Some of us have changed our names. Some of us have not. I have not. So I have a name that I use professionally, and that's my name professionally. But on paper, my name is still Simone Lavelle. And it's just, it never has come up. I talked to Sean about it. He's like, yeah, I don't care about that. It doesn't matter to me. So that's our stance, but there's a Bible verse written here that someone wrote. I think Tiffany wrote it. Y'all go ahead.
Really?
Y'all go right ahead.
The Bible text.
I've always, for people that
feel attacked.
Want to know, I've always been just curious to know. So what made you not change your name? I'm curious. So
I just didn't. That was nothing. It wasn't about I want to keep my individuality. I never felt like, I'm not my own person. I've always been my own person. I'm just Simone that is married. But it wasn't about that. It's just, we just never did that paperwork.
Okay. I'm in the same boat as Simone. I haven't changed my last name yet, but a lot of people call me Gipson-Goodwin, and I will answer to all names that people go by. But at work, they still call me Gibson. But it's mostly just I haven't done the paperwork, and my thing was my driver's license. It's almost time to renew my driver's license. When I renew my license, I change my name.
I'm Simone Lavelle Bruce everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And you know,
It
if they
really and truly wasn't a big deal for me. My wife did change her last name, but it was. I mean, if she didn't, whatever. We live in the same house.
I was so excited. I was excited. Plus, you know,
She's excited to come to Team Victor.
I was excited.
it's a good name. It's a good,
Yes,
strong
Alethea
name.
Victor. I was
Mhm.
excited to change my. I just so excited to change my name to Victor. So excited, and I don't know. My last name, my maiden name was Goodridge.
Oh, he's
It was
trying. I
that.
remember that.
I remember that.
I was about to say I don't remember Alethea's married.
I know.
Never.
No, and so that's what I'm saying. When I moved here, I was new. You guys didn't really know me as Goodrich. You didn't know that. You knew Victor. And so, like I said, I was raised in a single home. So that last name to me, it's a very strong last name, but I did not have that father with me throughout all those years. So letting go of that name did not hurt me like that. It was like I wanted to start a new page of my life, and with Alex and his family was wonderful. I was excited to have the last name Victor. I had a wonderful relationship with my father over the years, which has been great, but I was just excited to take on Victor. So it wasn't
and I was honored that she would want to take on that name.
He was not having Goodrich, Victor. that's also the truth. He's like,
I'll keep it real, 100%.
I still joke about it. Alethea Goodrich. He's like, whatever.
I'll keep it. I know people don't mind. People don't mind. I don't see it as a big deal one way or another. But
yes, you do.
No, I really don't. But what was really important to me.
He said for us, it's a big deal.
Yeah, but
for y'all.
I can't judge no one else, and I refuse to do that. If for me, I saw it as very symbolic. For me to say everything else, and say I'm going to commit and dedicate my life to you for the rest of my life and take care of you so we can become one. Let's solidify that and by doing the name. That was a sign that to me that we're all in. And so I'm a little traditional in that aspect, and I have nothing against anybody. If they want to keep their name or not, doesn't mean a thing to me. But there's a sense to me that felt like, you know what? I have a responsibility because someone stepped out of their father said, you are now responsible for my daughter. And you're taking on, she's taking on your name. That kind of was like, wow, I really have to live up to that, and that's why I love to do it. I'm grateful for, humbled by that.
Let me tell you something. These hyphenated names are all cute till it's time to spell them, and then they get long. And
they are long.
They are long.
And people ask you, so is it Lavelle or is it Bruce? I'm like, you know what? Just whatever.
Either or, whatever you like.
It sounds like a celebrity name. Simone.
You don't even have enough space. I know some people have some long, like their last name is long, and then their marriage name. I don't know how. Writing the whole thing out. Emails are long.
Listen, for me, it's. I think it might be middle name envy because I don't have one.
Really?
Okay.
You don't have
I don't have one, so I make my former name or my maiden name my middle name. I don't have one.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, but I'm joking about that. I don't care about that either. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Funny.
Special. Well, I think that's it for our guests. We want to say that we thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
The victors.
It went by so fast.
Yeah.
But it was such a good conversation.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you all coming by again to talk with us. Hopefully, well, not hopefully, because we hate that Corona keeps us here, but if we have an opportunity for another show, we'd love to invite you back again for something.
We love to be there.
Of course.
Thank you so much.
It was great.
Yeah.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, no problem.
Wonderful.
Yes, we love you all. Take care. And hug my niece for me. Stop giving her whatever you gave her. Right, stop giving her that melatonin.
Stop knocking her out.
Don't worry.
I'm drugging that child.
Just
Peace
call
be
us on
still.
FaceTime.
That's all I can. Peace be still. Man, we love you guys. Thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Take care.
Love y'all too.
Bye, y'all.
All right,
Thank y'all.
Okay.
All right, it's back to just the three of us now. We are about to wrap up. So if you're hanging in there with us a little longer, we won't keep you. We promise we won't hold you. We just want to talk about All American.
That daggone All American.
You know, I'm mad they're going on
Team live until the very end. Until the end.
I know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What until the end?
Until the end of the episode, I was Team Live up until
that last minute.
That last 30 seconds.
I'm done with y'all. I don't think y'all ever responded to my comment. I think that Spencer should be done with her because she put his life at risk.
He's not gonna be.
I know he's not because he's a hero. So he's gonna replace Coop with Olivia.
Shoot. I didn't even make that. Yeah,
that's what I think because there's no way he should take her place in that seat.
So you saying that
go to jail or whatever?
A part of the Coop troop anymore?
Coop troop.
He's no longer part of the Coop troop. He shouldn't be part of the Olivia troop.
Unless this gets resolved quickly.
But don't you think he was reckless?
Of course. But I mean, all these teenagers are reckless. Look what Layla did the first time she had space over her house. You know, getting them all drunk, and he almost got in big trouble. So I think they're just all reckless. They don't know what to do with themselves. And they're always looking at each other while they drive. There was an accident bound to happen one day because they just always
so
like,
are
you? I'm like, the road's over.
I've never been so clear about how I feel. I'm like,
the
girl,
road's right there. The road.
Here. Yep.
But
so
in other news, I just love you so much.
Like what?
So we gotta wait till April 12th.
So
how this goes down.
I hate that.
I do too.
I hate that.
I don't like it neither.
Yeah.
Ooh.
In addition, do y'all want to keep talking about All American? Y'all want to move on?
We're good.
The high school basketball. There's been a lot of race related abuse going on. There's a high school basketball commentator of a high school, huh?
No, I just said lots of that.
Yes, a commentator at a high school basketball game referred to players as the N-words when they kneeled during the national anthem and blamed it on the diabetes.
On the sugar.
On the sugar.
Blame it on the sugar.
You know, you do kind of get out of it. You do talk out of your head.
That was true serum. His blood sugar made him tell the truth. You've been keeping that in for a while.
Mm-hmm. Did he have a hot mic? He didn't know his mic was on?
No, he knew it was on. You know what this reminds me of? We didn't put it in the notes, but the story about Papa John's this week talking about it's taking him 20 months to try to stop saying the N-word.
Like, trying to get out of his vocabulary.
How did it take you 20 months? Like, what
you can't just stop saying it. You can't just stop.
That's something he says every day.
Right.
He says it every day. That's a real problem. It's the high school coach or commentator, he must have, in his coma, his diabetic coma or whatever, he must have thought that Trump was still in office and that stuff was going to fly. He must have thought, I don't know. But that's disgusting.
Yeah. And to blame it on diabetes, like, just take ownership. I would rather
say you was wrong, call it a day.
Racist. Right. I'm sorry.
I say slurs.
Yeah.
I use slurs. Okay, I do.
I'm still learning. Like, give me the basic.
Give me the basic white guy apology.
Yes, but don't go, well, you know, my sugar was real low and I just couldn't think. I just couldn't come out with no other words.
So what happened to him? What they gonna do? What's the outcome?
I don't know.
Oh yeah, this happened. This was fresh. I think this happened like Friday.
Thursday, Friday, something like that.
Yeah. So I saw like it's been everywhere. I saw it on a few news outlets and I saw the press release about his statement. So I would assume he's not going to be commentating anywhere anymore. But we'll see.
Not anytime soon.
I would hope not. Yeah. Have either of y'all ever been called the N-word in person, like to your face? Has that ever happened to y'all?
It's been a long time, but it has happened.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember anybody ever saying it to my face before. I don't know what I would do.
It happened to me when I was young, like super young.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Happened to me when I was in college and we passed each other and I guess I was in the person's way and they said it and it kind of just shocked me. I was like, did you really just say that?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll happen to me tomorrow now. That says never happened.
Right. It's never happened to me. and then tomorrow it's gonna have to do 10 times.
Right.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
Well, the last thing we want to say, in racial news this week, this past Saturday marked the 1-year anniversary of the killing of Breonna Taylor by LMPD police officers who have still not yet been arrested. But I think several of them have now been fired. So we're still waiting on.
But it's everyone but the person who killed her.
Yes.
Everybody else.
Yes.
What was that? Hankinson?
Is it Cosgrove?
I don't even remember the name of the officer that actually did it, but it's like everybody has gotten in trouble or fired or whatever.
That one.
Except for the person who actually did it. It was really, really quite remarkable.
Exactly. And to make matters worse, they are passing looking at, I don't think it's been finalized yet, or has it? The Senate
it's passed, but
they passed it.
Yeah.
SB 211 was brought by Senator Danny Carroll. And it's in response to the riots in Louisville last summer and on the Capitol Hill, I guess the Capitol riots earlier that happened. So
that's it.
Yes. Oh, yes. So the bill criminalizes insulting an officer to the point where it would provoke a violent response. It would make insulting the police a Class B misdemeanor, punishable up to 90 days in prison. If someone accosts, insults, taunts, or challenges a law enforcement officer with offensive or derisive words or by gestures or other physical contact, that would have a direct tendency to provoke violent response from the perspective of get this, reasonable and prudent person. How do you determine if a person is reasonable and prudent? How do you determine that?
So I'm thinking the theory is like, so if you call on a cop, you're chanting whatever at a march, and a cop hits you, like, so I mean, I was insulted. Is that what it's? I was.
But they're already insulted by the mere presence of individuals. So, this is just giving, to me, I feel like this is giving police more calls and more backing to arrest or to brutalize protesters.
Yeah, they can just quote this bill.
Yeah, and I don't think it's fair that they're going to lump in two very different things. The insurrection event on Capitol Hill is not the same thing as the protest that happened over the summer. Those are two different things. And many of those police that were involved in the insurrection on Capitol Hill were injured. A few died. Like, I haven't seen any protests, especially not here in Louisville, where any police have been injured or have died.
There was one incident where there was a police officer that was shot. But there are very few instances here in Louisville where, police officers were taken to hospitals and stuff like that.
It's just white supremacy showing up, trying to usurp all the power and put all the privilege in in their system. This doesn't make any sense. The people are fighting for justice, and you want to take even more power. You want to take their voice away. I mean, people are out there protesting, not hurting anybody. It's like you just don't want them out there. Well, they're allowed to be out there. They can't, vandalize. They can't hurt. Okay, that's fine. But it just, like you said, Tiff, the mere presence, the fact that they have the audacity to push the system angers them. They don't want that. So now they're putting more power in their hands. I just like giving them license to just lock them up for 90 days.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane.
It is. So, and while there's been some change in the Breonna Taylor situation, there's been some laws that have come into play because of it. There's been a lot of attention. This bill is just a reminder that the more things change, the more they're going to stay the same. And I personally am just getting exhausted. I was talking to my younger cousin last night who just started driving by herself. And she was like, we talked about this bill a little bit. And then she said, I don't even know what to do if I get pulled over. And I said, just at this point, just comply. Like, I don't know what to tell you to do, because there used to be a time where I would say, record, ask questions, know your rights. Now I just feel like what is it?
Just get home safe.
Yeah. Just It's not worth it. It's just not worth it to try to fight it anymore.
Yeah. Somebody today when we were out asked how things were going in Louisville, and I shared about this bill, and they were just shocked. And I was like, I'm not. This is what happens. So we have to continue to pray for our city and just for ourselves, for our sanity and mental health, because this is exhausting.
Yeah.
It's like with everything going on, this is what you pass.
Yep. Passed it quietly too, real quietly.
That's what they do. That's what they do. So moving on to gratitude, our last thing. With all that in mind, and what are you all grateful for as we head into this next work week? What, Tiffany? Go ahead. Once again. You just so excited. You just excited about getting old. You just love to get old.
I am. My birthday is this week. I am hyped. I love it. I'm looking forward to. I don't know if I feel this way when I turn 40, but for right now, I'm
happy about it too. The alternative Thursday, we don't want.
Yeah. Yes and yes. The alternative we don't want. And yes, it is Thursday. And I'm more excited about because I always take my birthday off. So I'm about to have like a 5-day weekend. So I'm excited about that too.
Nice.
I'm mad about that. I am mad that I had a real chill weekend. I'm going into Monday, not super stressed. Work had wound down a little bit for me over the last week. And went to bed at a decent hour last night. Went to bed at a decent hour tonight, and wake up tomorrow somewhat refreshed. And it's also getting closer to my birthday as well.
We'll talk about that after my birthday.
Yeah,
we'll talk about it after Tiff's birthday.
Sure. Yes. I will say Brandon's spiders look really relaxed today.
I love the spiders. I'm here for that. Let it flow. Let it flow. I'm thankful that we went to a little drive-by birthday today, and Kaden got to hang out with some other kids for a while. That was really, really nice. That just doesn't get to happen for him as often these days with everything going on. So I'm very thankful for that and looking forward to getting home so he can have more of that. And then our hopes rest in August, so we can push him into the school building to be with all the children.
Catapult him.
Slingshot him into the building. Yeah.
Well, I think that does it for us, guys. I'm very excited as we close this episode. I feel like this was an extension of the love month a little bit. So, I'm excited about the things that we have in store to talk about. We're going to talk about vaccinations. We are going to not celebrate, but recognize our COVID-versary in our next episode a little bit. So, I'm just looking forward to the remaining episodes that we have scheduled for you all for this and next month. But, until we gather together again, be sure to wash your hands.
Wear your mask.
Yeah. Even if you have your vaccination, wear your mask. Stay away from people.
Yes.
There's new CDC guidelines about if you're fully vaccinated. So read up on those and just still be careful and take care of yourself and other people around you that you care about or that you don't care about. Just take care of people.
Take care of yourself.
Be considerate.
Look out for your star player, okay? If you want somebody else, do it for you.
Do it for you.
Well, a year later, we are still asking for justice for Breonna Taylor. Let's make that happen, Louisville, in some way, shape, or form. And until we meet again,
we remain yours.